was there anything that you guys were doing in terms of character assessment?
Oh, that's the hardest part about it, Evan, is the character assessment. I mean, we can all watch the tape. Character assessment's really hard. And I think that, what you have to do is dig deep into his background and ask specific questions. And you've got to be willing to say, hey, what was, in high school, what was your greatest achievement? Well, if this kid says, well, when I won player of the week, and doesn't talk about the wins or beating a great team, then he's about himself. I think you got to really kind of peel back the layers and see what sacrifices, past performance will predict future achievement. So I think you got to do a good job on that. And you just need to bring players in that fit the culture. If I were to call Bill on the phone and say, this guy fits the program, we both know what we mean by that. If this guy's not a program guy, we know what that means too. So scouting is about, and team building is really about building inside out, not outside in. You've got to be willing to build inside. You've got to know what you're looking for before you go out to go find it.
Right. And when we're looking at this, I mean, measuring these things, this really comes from either conversations with that player in particular or with their teammates as a way to find out about that particular player. There's no easy personality assessment that we can take. There's no easy route to find this. The reason why nobody or very few do it is because it does take kind of like that extra that extra legwork.
No doubt. And you've got to be willing to ask hard questions, right? You've got to be willing to confront the player. Like, why did you do this in this situation? What were you thinking here? What was your reason for doing it? I think you got to really dig deep into that. And if you don't, you're going to make the same mistakes because because it's harder to train. It's harder to retrain than it is to train. So you want players that are willing to be trained. I mean, look, it's not easy. 175 men and women get to become Navy SEALs. Only 30 of them make it. And the Navy has put billions of dollars into their recruitment, to their selection process. They spent a lot of money on that. However, they can't get that right because they can't really measure what happens when volume sets in. What happens when 15 days of doing the same thing? They can tell you at the SEALs program, the first day, they'll tell you who's probably not going to make it. And it's always the guy who's first in line. It's always the guy who's runs the fastest, the best athlete, who wants to show off early. He wants to show off all his skills because what happens is they just can't do it every single day. Team building is about finding people who will do it every day.